What's going on? It's your man Tim Jackson with the No More OGs podcast. I am your host. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share, because we have some very, very dope content. And you're not going to see content like this everywhere else. You know, I bring on real people who are doing real things that can actually help you change your life in real time. We're not talking about how we used to rap and sell dope and how we went to prison and, you know, just all that goofy ass shit that's associated with the culture, or glorifying that shit, should I say. But more importantly, we're talking about the things that's going to help you improve your net worth and your bottom line. So, you know, I got to bring people on who have helped me improve my net worth and my bottom line. You know, I always joke about having a bunch of attorneys. So this is going to be one of the attorney series. But I'm going to bring in my friend, my attorney, who specializes in intellectual property. And that is very vast, but very specific. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others Miss Kandace Walter. Hey.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody out there. So good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm glad I finally got you on here. I know we did a video together before.
Yes.
But it was for something else. But I said I need to bring you back because a lot of people don't understand the importance of protecting their intellectual property.
That's true.
Albeit their brands. I'm wearing a brand now. I know I have another mark that's coming up for due. And you're like, Tim, you need to renew it. So I'm thinking about renewing that. But just tell my audience who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why it's important to have someone like Kandace in their life as it relates to, you know, some of the business moves they're making.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Tim. So I'm Kandace, and I'm from Richardson, so I'm a local person to the Dallas area, and I went to law school at UT, and so now I have my own office called Walter Legal, and so I've had my own office since 2016, but really I've been an attorney for 18 years, which is so hard to believe. I can't believe it, because I feel so young.
18 years?
Yes, I was like, what?
And after, no, man,
yeah.
We're after Kanye.
Yes, and so the main thing that I do is intellectual property. So before I talk about any of that, I want to give some real world examples so people can have it in their mind what intellectual property is.
Oh, we finna have church. You finna give us some real world examples.
It's not, I'm just saying.
Whenever let me tell you how Kandace walked in. First things first. Let me tell you how attorney-ish she is, not ish. Kandace emailed me her presentation. She says, Tim, I want to focus on these stories right here. And they are some real good stories. And so then Kandace walked in. She got a laptop. I said, you're going to be my first guest with a laptop. So I do it on my phone with you guys. I want y'all to pay attention to what she's saying because too often, specifically in the black community, we complain about not having the knowledge and information and the access to people like yourself. But when people like yourself begin to speak about things that need to be done, it becomes well, you know, I don't know. Maybe I can't afford it, or let me pray about it. You know, that's my favorite one. When people don't want to put that money up, they say, let me pray about it. And then you see them on social media a couple of weeks later, you know, paying, you know, $1,000 for a section and $500 for a bottle. Yeah, I'm talking my shit because this is an accountability podcast, okay? So, yeah, I just wanted to say, let's get it. Like, dive into it. Tell us what you need to dive into.
So, yeah, but before I dive into it, I want to make sure that people even know what I'm talking about. So, if you've seen the movie Coming to America, and, you know, they have that McDowell's, you know, and they're, like, joking about ripping off McDonald's. In the real world, the real McDonald's would sue you for infringing their trademark and trade dress and all that stuff. So, if somebody else already has a name for their business or a logo or something that people identify with them, you cannot copy it and put it on your own products because you didn't create that, you didn't, you know, you're not doing the marketing for it. All that would be trademark infringement. So don't do that. But I do see a lot of people doing that all the time. Like if you have your fake Gucci or whatever it is that you have with the name brands on it, but it's not really from that company, that's illegal. So that's an issue.
So let me ask you this, and this isn't to shit on anybody, because I know you'll be watching and this is an attack. Like I know people who are in the 3D printing business, right?
Yes.
And so they'll post, hey, I'm printing out, you know, I don't know, cell phone covers, or I'm printing out stuff, and it'll have people's logos on it. And I always think to myself, damn, I wonder if they have permission to use that logo.
They probably don't.
If they don't, you know, they can get sued, right?
Yeah, they probably don't. So, yeah, if you're printing things on your 3D printer, just anybody else's logo, name, anything that makes someone think it's from someone that's not you, that's a problem. It is. So that can be trademark problems or it can be copyright problems. And for copyright, when you're watching the movie and they have that notice at the front that whatever it says and the FBI warning and all that, that's talking about some copyright. So if you have like movies that are, movies you're watching that you didn't pay for them from the streaming people, or when the people say they have the jailbroken Fire Stick or whatever it is that they have, all that stuff that you're watching in there, someone owns a copyright for it. And so when you're watching it without paying for it, that's infringing those people's copyright.
You're no fun.
I know, it's no fun. It's no fun. And then like people don't buy CDs anymore, but in the old days, if you did buy a CD and you might be at the barbershop and he has everybody's CD and it's only $5.
Yeah.
Hustle Man. That is also copyright infringement because everyone that created, everybody that wrote the music, the producer, the singer, all those people, they put in time and energy, and so they're not being compensated if you're buying the $5 copy at the barbershop.
It's funny that you say that because, now that I've gotten into YouTube and putting videos up, YouTube is very, very particular about music.
Yes.
You cannot use anyone else's music without their permission. Mm-hmm. In fact, I actually got permission to use some music one time, and I got a copyright strike, and I had to show them, no, I actually have permission to use this. But as you're uploading your video now, they do a sound check, and if there's anything in there that sounds like it's protected, they're not going to let you upload that video, or they'll say you can upload it, but you can't monetize it, and there's a strike. And that strike actually counts against you when it comes to monetizations. If you get too many strikes, they take away your money. Oh,
yeah, definitely. So I talk to people all the time that their, social media page, video on YouTube or whatever has been taken down because somebody, made a complaint that this is infringing my copyright or my trademark. And one of the people I talked to recently, the person that was saying it was lying. It was a competitor. And so they reported someone's Etsy shop saying this is infringing my trademark, but they were lying. And they just kind of paused it. And we had to jump through a lot of hoops just to prove that this is a fake report.
I have a friend of mine. He has one of the best top 5 podcasts in the game right now, ranked on Apple Podcasts. And it seems like every week somebody's spamming his page to get his page taken down. I woke up this morning and I saw that it was gone. I was like, because the videos he has on his page are videos of me from an interview I did, and they are doing numbers. Mm-hmm. Them shits is on fire. And so I pinned them at the top of my page. I logged in this morning to post them like, hey, where my girl's videos at? He's like, man, somebody did it again. But what we're seeing now is that a person can report your page or say that you stole their page. And instead of Instagram doing their due diligence, they just take your page away. And then you have to prove that it's not you.
Yes.
And if you don't have the 2-factor authentication set up, if if it's a business but it has a person's name, let's say you have a business, you got to have the business logo on there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It can't be a personal picture. There's so much that you have to do. And it can take 30 days to get that stuff back.
Yes. And so the people from the store I was just telling you about, their page got shut down from some malicious actor, and the malicious person was pretending to be my client. So this person emailed me and said, did your client, shut down my IG page? No, we did not. I don't even know what you're talking about. So then I had to email the legal department at this place saying, hey, there's a situation. My client didn't do this. We don't know who these people are. We didn't complain. It was just real dramatic.
It was real dramatic. It's interesting because, you and I worked together over the years, and you're very particular about making sure that everything is airtight when we submit documents to, the proper, the bodies that handle these trademarks.
Yes, the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Y'all, let me tell you about Kandace, man. I guess I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, y'all. Kandace called me and yelled at me one day. Y'all, I ain't never heard Kandace cuss. But Kandace called me, and you know how you had that one teacher in school that was real, firm with you, and she could tell you something, and you would feel like somebody cut you, but she didn't use one. Kandace told my ass up, and I was like, "Yes, ma'am, Kandace."
It's not true.
And then she called me back. She's like, Tim, I didn't mean to go so hard on you like that.
Really what happened, Tim, is that you asked me a question, I answered it, and you kept saying the same thing in different ways, and I kept saying the same thing in different ways. I'm like, this is what it is. It's just not going to change.
I was trying to make it to something else. I was really getting on your nerves that day.
I was having a bad day, so I'm sorry.
Man, it was a fun day. But no, let's jump into You know, a lot of people. I help people write books, and I remember you telling me, hey Tim, you need to make sure that there's, you have this trademark, or you need to go through the process and make sure that it's copywritten. And I was always taught that, and I know this is wrong, but once you put something out there and there's a date associated with it, that's the way that you can track that you're the original owner of it. And if you can't, what's the word I'm looking for? When it comes time to start proving who's who. If you can show that you're the person that put this out there first, it was yours, and you tend to have the copyright protection over it, minus the proper filings of the copyright protection. Like, can you talk about that? Is that true?
Yes. Not really. So a lot of times people say I have a poor man's copyright because I put this in an envelope and I mailed it to myself. Okay.
I've heard that shit.
Yes. So that is not doing anything except you sending yourself something. So the way that you get a copyright is that something has to be a work of authorship. It has to be original and fixed. Okay. So all that stuff that you're saying, that is not what makes you have a copyright. Just that you wrote it. This is the day you wrote it. It's original. It's fixed. Okay. Now you have a copyright for it. But if you decide that you want to sue somebody for stealing it, then that's when you need to have it registered with the Copyright Office. That's what you need to do before you can sue somebody.
So I can't sue. So with all that stuff, if somebody steals my stuff, I can't sue them. I mean, of course I can file a lawsuit, but I'm probably not going to be victorious if I haven't actually registered it with the Copyright Office. Yeah,
you have to register your copyright with the Copyright Office before you sue somebody, but they do have ways that you can expedite the copyright registration because you want to sue somebody. But that's going to cost you more money. Or you could have just had it registered in the first place.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I know that it seems nitpicky, but that's just what you have to do.
It's not nitpicky. It's business. And a lot of times when we look at business, a lot of times we try to force our own way into like a process. Like I always joke whenever I see people doing like the boycotts of different leagues, right? Man, that league has been around forever. They don't care about you not watching because you're not their target audience, right? But you're trying to get these corporations to see things your way, and this is how they've always done it. So my thing is create your own stuff. I know that's totally off on a tangent.
Yes.
But it's no different than this. Like when people go into it thinking, well, let me just go on and watch this YouTube video and file this paperwork, and I'll do it my way. And then they set it up the wrong way, and then when it comes time to challenge it, they're screwed, Do you see that often?
I do see. It's not usually with copyrights. It's more with trademarks, sometimes with patents, where people have done it themselves. And then after because either they did it themselves or they used LegalZoom. And somebody that I recently met told me that he met someone on Fiverr who said they would do the trademark application for him. Yes, but the person said, I'm not an attorney. I'll just do it for you. And he paid him and he didn't do it quite right. And so I don't understand how that happens. But yeah, so people do actually do these things themselves. They don't do it quite right, and then they have to call an attorney to try and fix it. But we can't always fix it.
So can you talk about the difference between a copyright and a trademark? Because a lot of people, they don't know the difference between the two. Hell, yes. I didn't know the difference between the two until I met you.
Yes. Well, for me, I'd heard these words before, but until I was in this area of the law, I was also a little bit confused. Okay.
As an attorney.
Yeah, because it wasn't my practice area. So I knew that all these things were intellectual property, but how are they different? I don't really know. But now I do know, don't worry. So trademark can be like the name of your business, your logo. You can have a slogan. It's something that identifies you or your company as the source of these products, okay? So that's a trademark. Then a copyright is different. A copyright, if you can think of something maybe a little more artistic. So it could be software, it could be, the code for a video game or an app. It could be a book, it could be a movie, a sculpture, a painting, a song. All these things fall into works of authorship. That's what a copyright is protecting. And a patent is if you have an invention. So your invention is either solving a problem or a system of doing something. So like, for instance, this is my example that I always use. Like if I designed a dog bowl that refilled itself with food and water and let my dog out and picks up the poop, that would be an invention that I would want to protect with a patent. Okay?
I would buy that.
I know I would buy it too. I would love to have that. So that's something you would protect with a patent. And the patent, really what that does is it tells other people this is protected, you cannot make it. And so the patent is for 20 years. For 20 years you get to make it, nobody else can make it. If they do, you have the right to sue them.
Can you sell the right to make it in that 20
years?
Yeah,
you can sell it. You can
but you have exclusivity.
Yeah, for what's protected by your patent. So you can sell a license to it and let someone else do it. And so I talk to a lot of people, they're inventing things, and they're like, I want John Deere or Home Depot or some big, company to buy this from me, or I'm going to license it to them, whatever. That's fine. But you still need to have a patent before you ever try to sell whatever you're trying to sell to these people.
Those big companies will steal your shit, won't they?
I'm not going to say they will steal. A lot of them, they won't even listen to you. They won't even let you submit things to their website because they don't want people making claims. Like, we don't know what their R&D department is working on. So it's possible that they already have people that have this idea and they're working on it. Yeah. So you think that you told them, but they already had that idea 2 or 3 years ago.
You're such an attorney. You said, no, I don't know. I'm not saying they'll steal it. I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying they'll steal it. But I am also saying not to trust people.
Absolutely.
Don't just think that other people will have your best interests at heart. Don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples, like some real world examples of just a nightmare horror stories that you've actually had to either fix, or you've seen clients come into your office that ask for your help and maybe you couldn't help them because something wasn't set up the right way?
Okay, so one just very easy example before I get into more specific examples. Lots of people, ever since I've been an IP attorney, they try to file their own trademark applications. They do it wrong. They get in office action. They don't know what to do, and so then they try to hire an attorney to fix it, but we can't always fix it. So that's one thing that happens. A lot of people also, they have some name in their mind and they just go with it. Okay, they never talk to an attorney. They might do a Google search, but they don't search on the USPTO website, and whatever search you're doing, it's not going to be as good as if an attorney did it, because we have the background, the experience, we know what we're looking for. So one of my clients, they had a business and they did a search on the the USPTO and Google. They didn't see anybody with the name, so they ran with it. So little did they know someone else was already using that name, but those people don't have an internet presence and they don't have a trademark either, but they were using it before my client, and they were traveling to different states. So once my client tried to apply for the trademark, these people popped up and said, we were using this before you, and like, where have you been? They've been at flea markets all around, wherever. So even sometimes when you do that search, there still could be someone out there that could pop up. Okay,
and you could have found them?
No, I wouldn't have found it either. Oh. But I'm just saying, you have a better chance if you have your attorney searching. Maybe I would have found it, because my search report, it is pretty comprehensive. It's searching the USPTO database, it's searching the internet, it's searching social media, and it also tells us if someone has named their company that. So it's searching like the Secretary of State databases to get names of companies. So it may have popped up if they have registered their company name.
Yeah, you have one system that can look at all the Secretary of State stuff.
It's looking at all those things together, and it pulls it back into a report. So that's going to be more comprehensive than if you just do a Google search. And so that's kind of something that people don't always understand. Even if someone else doesn't have a trademark yet, they could have been using it before you, and
so what
they can enforce
I got to know what happened in that situation.
Well, my client had to change their name.
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason why I bring that up is because I've talked to a lot of people when luckily I'm talking to some of these people before they do it, but I'm advising them, before you spend all this time and money on this brand, let's make sure that this name seems clear for you to use. So one of the people that I talked to him on the back side of it, after he'd already spent the $30,000 on the door knockers, wrapping the vans, all this stuff that he has with this name that he thinks is wonderful and amazing. And then somebody else that has a very similar name was like, shut it down or we're going to sue you. Okay. And so he did lose the $30,000 that he already spent, but how much is it going to cost him to fight in court with those people? And they've already been using a name for 20, 30 years. You're not going to win. You're going to waste your money.
Because there's a guy, I don't want to give too many specifics, but he has this gym, and the name is, it sounds like a common name, but it's really not. And so then a very famous musician tried to start like a clothing line, and with this guy's gym, he has a clothing line, he has nutrition products, and this very famous musician tried to use the same mark, and this dude sued the hell out of that musician and won.
Oh, good for him.
He made him flip it. And so now I see people still say the term, but they take certain letters out and they never trademark it, because this guy will come after you. Good. But I actually got to meet him, and it was people are very, very, it's kind of like Erykah Badu says, I'm an artist, but I'm sensitive about my shit, right? Like, people are going to really come after you for their shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's something else that people don't understand about trademarks is there's 45 different classes. So whatever the things that you were saying that he has, let's say he has it in 3 classes, that doesn't mean that no one can use that word. It means they can't use that word for gym, t-shirt, and whatever else you said that he's doing. Whatever class that he has protected with a trademark. So as to give you an example, let's say that I have a daycare and I want to call it Apple. Yeah. I can call my daycare Apple if Apple that does the phones and the TVs and the watches and all that stuff doesn't have a daycare. Like, they don't have a trademark in daycare, the daycare services, okay? Child care service. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if I'm trying to have anything related to tech or telecom or music or anything, they're going to come for me.
There's a clothing line here in Dallas that has a very specific logo that looks like the City of Dallas logo. Mm-hmm. And they're in litigation right now.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I'll never forget when I first saw the clothing line, I was like, man, that looks like the City of Dallas logo. And then I just randomly Googled, like, City of Dallas logo lawsuits. And it popped up that they were actually in litigation. And now SMU made this big push to, like, have, like, Dallas branding. Mm-hmm. And now they're using the same logo. So now the City of Dallas has given them permission to use it. But the other companies I guess they're litigating. I don't know the details of litigation, but I just thought that was really interesting that, you have a city logo and you have your brand, and it's similar to that city logo, but there's a fight between the two to say, hey, this is ours. No, this is ours. And it's like, you're going to have a hard time going up against a city, that has a logo.
Yes, and they probably have more resources than the designer. But that's what I was talking about when we first sat down, when I was saying that people, like, have these logos and they just slap them on their clothes and their products and all that stuff. And one of my friends designed a logo. Like, she paid someone to design it and put the name of her brand on it, and people find it on the internet, take her name off and put their name on it. So her attorney is constantly sending out letters to people saying, hey, this is ours, you can't steal it. And one thing I want to talk about with a logo is that the logo, you can protect it as a trademark in relation to your goods and services, but also if it has some design elements, you also can protect it with a copyright, like if it's a piece of art or something, And then when you do commission someone to design this logo for you, you want to make sure that those people assign those rights over to you. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to apply to trademark a logo that you don't even own. Like, the person that drew it owns it. They never turned it over to you in writing. So
we had that conversation because this logo that I'm wearing right now, I designed it.
You designed it with your own hands?
Or
your software or whatever?
I drew it up, and then I gave it to a person on the website Fiverr.
Okay.
And then they gave me back some more variations. And I'll never forget when I called you were like, Tim, you need to get in writing from them that they're releasing everything from you and that you own this logo. So now I reached out to them, and then they sent me something. Then I sent it back to you, and you was like, this isn't good.
It's not, but that happens all the time. And so the people that you're asking, they, like, one of them, when I told someone that they need an assignment, the designer said, I think this is legally sufficient. So then I told my client, why don't you ask them what law school they went to?
That was a flex.
It's not a flex. So I'm just saying, how is this person who draws, how are they telling you what they think is legally sufficient? What cases you've been involved in? Okay, just sign the paper, okay? Stop playing around.
Stop playing with my name.
Exactly.
All right, Birdman.
Stop playing with my clients like this. Yes.
So, a lot of people don't understand. And when I first went through the process with you, I'll be honest with you.
You're always honest, Tim.
I am. I don't lie. Ever. It was the most frustrating process because I had no clue of what I was getting into. I didn't realize to have those 2 letters, that copyright or that TM next to your logo, like, or whatever it is you're presenting, like, you have to have a specific purpose. Like, we think we're going to create a logo, and this is my brand, and the brand is an umbrella, and it covers everything, and you can't touch it. And when you explain to me, like, no, Tim, like, I need a class. I need to see what exactly you're going to be using this for. I need some examples. Like, I had to put it on my website.
Yeah.
We needed a specimen. Then we sent some stuff off, and they rejected it, and I was just like, man, this is a very detailed process, but it's worth it in the end because if your brand takes off and goes to a different level, people are going to steal it. People are going to steal. There's no doubt in my mind that some people are not going to steal my stuff. That's just how it works.
Yes, and so you have to get ready. And so you getting ready is protecting it with the IP, protecting your IP before someone steals it, because then you're doing it on your own timeline. If you're doing it once they steal it, then you're, trying to...
It's backtracking.
It's gonna get yourself in position. Yeah.
So what's the process? Let's talk about that process, Kandace. Like, so I have a logo. I've gotten it trademarked. And because it's so artistic, I went ahead and got it copywritten too, because I'm just that guy, right?
Yes.
So I'm out there doing my thing, my hundreds of thousands of followers. Instagram finally...
Hundreds of thousands of followers.
Hundreds of thousands of followers. Instagram finally stops letting people scam my page. Mm-hmm. And
I know. I'm so mad at Fake Tim. Did you get that taken down?
That's like the 7th time. Fake Tim. It's like... I'm starting to figure out... I think I know like what types of pages do it. The people that follow you, and then you go on their page and they got all the Bitcoin stuff. They have one follower and they're following 10,000 people. Out of 5,000 people, I just block them. Yeah. But you can never block them enough. But what I hate about Instagram is that when you go to report it, they say, are they impersonating you or someone else or a celebrity? Mm-hmm. If it's a celebrity, if you hit celebrity, all these blue check names come up and they take it down immediately. Mm-hmm. But if it's just... But
you are a celebrity, Tim.
I'm trying to tell
This is Tim Jackson.
This is Tim motherfucking Jackson, right? Tim Jackson.
Yeah.
But no, all jokes aside, so I'm saying all that said, Instagram finally gives me a blue check, and then some local Larry, steals my shit. And they're making got reels going up, they're making money, they're saying they're me, yada yada yada. I call you. What do we do?
Well, did you already report that to Instagram?
Yeah, I reported to Instagram, but they got a website up and everything. So they got a website selling merchandise like mine.
Yeah, we can report it to Instagram, and then I would ask you where is their website hosted, so we can report them there. And then sometimes, like if they have Etsy or Shopify or any of those things, we can report it to all those people. But one thing that's important, I think, as part of us reporting it, is us saying that this is our trademark or whatever it is, and these people have stolen it. So we need some documentation. It would be better for us to already have our documents in order so we can attach that to what we're complaining about. And then I've seen people, if you really want to go there, you can go to court and try to get a temporary restraining order, try to get an injunction, talk to whoever's hosting that website and get it shut down. So you do have options, but these options are going to take time and they're going to take money.
Okay.
How
long? So if I wanted to get somebody's website shut down, I'm just asking. Like, I'm not, y'all, we're not gonna, have a legal session here. I feel like Kandace always think that I interview her so I can get a bunch of free legal shit, and then I go back and do it without her.
It's for the people. It's for the people.
I'm not gonna do that, Kandace. I'm gonna pay you if I need to pay you, but
if he needs to pay me, conditional invoices.
You know what? I know Andrea's going to watch this. Andrea was in my office. She's rented space out of my office for 3 years. And it was the best setup for the both of us because she got into the real estate world. And then I always needed law advice. So the running joke was like, she would give me law advice for lunch.
Oh, good.
For chicken.
I'm hungry too.
So, yeah. And so I would, I walk in her office. I'm like, hey man, what you want to eat? Like, she was like, what do you want, Tim? I'm like, can you please look on the Secretary of State? So she would do it for me really quick. And then I would order food. But I had to realize that that's not how it works in the real life. In the real world, like Kandace does not want Dunkin' Donuts.
I actually had Dunkin' Donuts this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
I asked you if you wanted me to get you something. You said no, so that was why.
Yeah, because I already ate some munchkins.
All right, so I get you. We get the information. We send it over to the website. They take down the page. They
might take down the page.
Because
all the different places that we're talking to, asking them, they all have their own process, So there's not just some thing that you can do that's going to blast it out everywhere and take it down everywhere. And the internet is wild. You know what I'm saying? Like once something is out there, it's very, very hard to like completely erase it. There are actually companies that do that.
I was literally about to say that. Because I know of companies, there was this congressman in South Carolina named Jim Clyburn.
Yes, I've seen him on TV.
Some people showed up to one of his events, and they were asking about reparations. He's like, "Why y'all keep fucking with me, right?" and so that shit was going by. People posting it, and now you can't find that video. If you Google and go to YouTube, like Jim Clyburn saying. Why y'all keep fucking with me?
Okay,
like,
that's good. That means he has a good legal team.
He has a good legal team, but also like those companies can like hide that stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you ever see like do you see a benefit in that as well, to stop driving traffic to a page of a person that's stealing your information? Like, do you recommend that to your clients?
I don't recommend things like that. I can't do that, but there probably is a company out there that can do something like that. All that I can do is write nasty letters and make complaints and advise them. And when it's time to sue somebody, I'll pass them on to somebody else, because now, due to my advanced age, I don't go to court anymore.
Oh, another flex. She gonna say that's not a flex, Kim.
It's not a flex. I'm just saying.
It's just reality.
I just really am not that about that court life.
Let me tell you,
I'm about pushing papers.
I got an email. I got a random email from somebody, and it's like, "This is the assistant of Kandace Walter." I was like, "What the world?" So you know how when you know somebody, you want to announce it. Man, if it's the assistant, I guess I got to respond. I can't text you. You big time now.
No, I'm not. That's funny. I do have some people working in my office now, so I guess.
Oh, you got people in the office.
No, we don't have an office. I'm virtual. There is no office.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I hope there's not anybody in my office.
So, transparent moment. You use the call. You used to use that calling system where like a person calls in and goes to a number. You had like an assistant who's off site that would
say, everyone is off. Everyone that works with me is off site.
So when I first started working with you, I stole that.
Oh, you did? Business. Okay, good. So I stole it from somebody else too. So.
I always tell people the reason my real estate company did so well is because I didn't model it like a real estate company. I modeled it like a law firm. So like I went through and found like companies that can answer the phone for me, because you had someone like that, and so. It changed the game for me a little bit. Like, it took away like 90% of my calls. I didn't have to pick the phone up anymore.
Yes.
It was a relay thing. So then they would send me a text message like, such and such called, you call them back, or I could put on my calendar, I'm free, you can transfer. Like, it was the coolest shit for me.
It was.
But I got that from you.
Yeah. I had a great provider, and they went out of business, and it's been sad ever since that.
Shit, they must not have been too great.
No. I think their prices were too low. But that's not related to what we're talking about. But now that I just said that, whenever you're operating your business, you need to know like what are your costs and your expenses, and then your profit margin. You know, so you don't want to price your whatever it is you're doing so low that you don't have enough money to pay your expenses and to pay yourself. You don't want to do all that for free, not forever.
I want to talk about that. And we'll segue, because you and I have done some things before together. What are some of the number one mistakes that you see people make when they get ready to start their business? Well,
I would say I don't know, say if it's number one, but a top issue. A few things that people do. One is that some people will file paperwork with the county to say they're a DBA, and now they think that they have an LLC, but they don't. You just have it. That's doing business as. You're just telling people this is the name I'm doing my business under. You're still a sole proprietor. And so if you're not an LLC or some other entity that's created through the Secretary of State, you don't have personal liability protection. So anything that anyone wants to sue your company, they're suing you, the person. There is no separate entity for them to sue. So one, you really, really need to think about setting up an entity, number one. Then two, once you set it up, you need to keep it alive, okay? So you have to file your annual
every year.
Yeah, you have to file your annual franchise tax report, and I think the other one is a public information report. You have to file that every year, even if you didn't make money. If you don't, then you're going to forfeit your status, and then your entity is going to die. So set up the entity, keep it alive, hire a CPA. Okay, so you want to keep yourself good with the IRS.
Yes. Man can't do my taxes every year.
I don't know who Man is, but I would ask to see his credentials. Be like, Man, what licenses do you have?
I don't know who Man is. You wouldn't let Man do your taxes?
No, it depends on where did he go to school, okay? How many years has he been doing taxes? How many of your clients have been audited?
You hating.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying, Man probably does a great job. But I'm just saying, you want to have a CPA that's going to do a good job on your team. And then another thing that people do is that they make agreements with people. Okay, either they say that it's their friend or family, and they don't have a written agreement. I trust them. Blah blah blah. I can't tell you how many people I've seen fighting with friends and family because their verbal agreement. Somebody didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
No, I'm looking at the camera.
Yes.
No verbal agreements.
Don't do it.
If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. no verbal agreement. That's the worst thing. Because what happens in those situations, it's nasty. When it goes south, it goes south. I'm not going to put too many people's business out there because that's not my place, but I've seen businesses dissolve very, very, what's the word I'm looking
painfully
for?
Expensive,
Expensive.
Contentious.
That was the word I was going to use. You took the ACT and the SAT, didn't you? Yeah.
I did.
You did. You did both of them.
Yeah,
you were one of them
both.
kids at graduation. You know, at graduation, them kids that get to sit up front. You know what I'm saying? And they walk across stage and they're like, "This person has, a scholarship to here. Then I'm in the back. I barely graduated. I literally got my last grades in the day they were printing off the flyer. Like if I would have came an hour late, my name wouldn't have been on the program.
But that's okay. You turned out super duper. Look at them now.
All right. Back to these niggas and these badass businesses, right? I've recently seen some people that I know. This has happened like 3 or 4 times in the last year where the businesses are being dissolved. COVID did a lot of damage.
Yeah, COVID killed a lot of people's business.
And the people that came out on top were the people who had things in writing.
Yeah.
And the people who their businesses just went to shit because they couldn't come to an agreement. Like those businesses are completely dead now because it's going to take, the other people to sign off on whatever, and it's just 2 people on an LLC and no other agreement, or hey, we're going to do it like this,
Yeah, that's all. That is exactly true. I've seen the same thing too, and sometimes it's been my clients. So them fighting with each other will waste all the money that the company had, and now there is no money for you all to split because you lost it all fighting with each other in court. So one, don't have verbal agreements with people. When you do have a written agreement, I would say if there's any way you can make it possible to have an attorney drafted for you, okay? And then you want to have your own attorney and they have their attorney. Their attorney doesn't care about you. Their attorney only cares about them, okay? So don't trust that they're, like, even for myself, if I'm writing a contract, I care about my attorney, okay? Or not my client. It's your job to get your own attorney to tell you what these things mean and make sure that your interests are protected, okay? And then I also see people that get contracts from the internet and they just slap their name on it. And so I was like, I don't even know, did you ever read this? Okay. And then sometimes they read it, sometimes they don't, but sometimes you don't even know what it means. And then other times there's language in it that doesn't apply to you. And then I had another client who called me and told me that someone stole XYZ from him. And I was like, really? Did you sign a contract? Yes. And I was like, please send it to me. So he sent it to me. I read it. They didn't steal anything from you. You signed this, which says I'm paying you to create XYZ and you still own it. And if I want to use it, I will pay you more money. That's what the contract says.
Wow.
So I was like, so you feel like they tricked you and they stole it from you, but you signed this and you sent it to me after you signed it and you were already in the situation. No, so please don't do that.
That happens. Yeah. Even with us doing I'm working on a documentary now. I had a bunch of forms, drawn up and created, and because I was having people sit on the documentary, and I had that contract structured very specific, like, this is what it's going to take to get you here. I own everything.
Yes.
You don't own anything. If I compensated you, your compensation was all you're getting. Like, it was for me to win, right?
Yes.
And it's like, you got to be that way. Like, you can't, it's law. It's legal. When you go to court, you don't want the judge to decide the ambiguity in the situation. You want, that document.
You want the terms of your agreement to be on the 4 corners of that page. So it could be the judge deciding the ambiguity or a jury. Okay. So instead of even getting in that situation, let's just get this on the paper. And besides the contract, wanting to enforce it later, you can make sure the person you're talking to is on the same page. Okay. So maybe you hear this and they hear that, and then when it's on the page, whoa, that's not what I said. Well, that's what I thought you said, but I didn't. So let's just talk about this before we get into a business marriage. And I love what you're talking about with that documentary, because a lot of people are very, very confused in that situation. Like, some of those people, if they hadn't signed that, they might think they have some ownership rights, but you don't. I own everything. I just let you be in my movie and I paid you or whatever.
Like, even like,
you have your compensation. You don't get anything from the box office.
Even like with the music, like, I didn't realize that there was a difference between the actual, and I know if the attorney watches this, he's going to probably be like, Tim, you said it wrong. But like, there's a difference between the person that's rapping on the song and then the music itself. Like, those are 2 totally different properties.
Yes, I'm so glad that you said that, Tim, because that was one of the things on one of my slides that I wanted to talk about. That's a great example with music, okay? So the person that's rapping, they have copyright for those sounds coming out of their mouth. Did that person write the words, okay? If they didn't write the words, the person that wrote the words, they own that. And then the music that's behind that person, who created that music, who's producing it, those people own that. So there's all these different pieces. When you hear a song, there could be so many different pieces that different people own. If somebody doesn't have a contract, that all these people have assigned it over to whoever.
So that's what they had to do. Like the producer, I had one producer who owned, who created the music or the sound, and then I have a rapper who's going to create the words. And so then they both signed the contract saying that I own everything.
Yes, good.
And then I just compensated them for 50% of the music, 50% of the words. It was the most interesting. I was like, damn. Like,
yes.
And this is an entertainment attorney who broke this down to me. He's like, yeah, Tim, you're going to have to break this down. And when he explained to me, I thought, this is why so many people in the rap game get screwed over.
It is.
Because they don't even realize all the contributions that goes into this one song. And then if you sample someone else's sound or their beats or their music, whatever you want to call it, and then you don't write it, like you're just a performer on it, right?
Yes, that is something if people are in the music field, they need to think about. And sometimes you'll see like on the news where I don't remember the lady's name, but she was mad because she says that Beyonce took a piece of her song and this and that and this and that. And I think from what I read that Beyonce got a license from the people that own the song.
Who own the song.
Yeah, you might have sang the song, ma'am, but you don't own the song anymore.
Oh, man, and you know what? She really screwed herself in that situation because here's this sample from this song that Beyonce's gonna do the right thing and go get it the right way.
Yeah, I can't believe Beyonce is just stealing samples. She don't do that. She got a legal team.
But then she's giving this lady free exposure, and now people are going back because the way it works is, oh, such and such is on this song. Oh, really? Then they start looking up her music.
Yes.
But then it goes back to, does she even own that music?
I don't know. They might buy her CDs, but is she going to get anything from it? I don't know.
Exactly.
Who knows?
And I remember, and I'm old. This is how old I am. I remember when Jay-Z.
I'm older than him.
You are older than me, huh?
Yes. Let's have a few gray hairs.
Hey, I got one right here in the middle. And then I got like a couple on the side. I'm about to go give me what that stuff is.
Just for men.
So natural.
Oh, I don't know.
No one
He's
can
gonna
tell.
paint his hair later.
Give me some Beijing.
Oh yeah.
But no, I remember when Jay-Z and Nas were going back and forth, and Jay-Z said, yeah, I sampled your voice. You were using it wrong. You made it a hot long. You made it a hot line. I made it a hot song. And you didn't get a coin, nigga. You was getting fucked in. I know who I paid, guys. Searchlight Publishing. And I was like. He literally just put it out there like, yeah, I took your shit, but I actually went through a publishing company. I made it a much better song, and you didn't even get paid for it. And that was like,
oh, that's terrible. That's sad.
But for him to, and a lot of people missed that in that battle. But at that moment in time, I was like, this is a grimy business. You have to really have your paperwork in order. And most of the times we see rappers go broke and entertainers go broke. It's because they don't have the paperwork in order.
They don't. And I'm sure you remember TLC because you were around my age. Remember?
I trolled them. Hey, my stuff went viral on Twitter.
Oh, I have to look it up. Yeah. But that was just, that happens to people in that business all the time, because you see all this stuff. But what's happening on the backside? What did you agree to do? Like, did you agree for them to give you a tiny cut and then they've, advanced you all these expenses and they get all this from the concerts and the CDs and this and that and this and that, and you at home eating ramen?
So I trolled them. I said, fellas, TLC was bankrupt when they wrote No Scrubs.
Is that true? Did you check the calendar? You check the timeline?
I don't know.
Okay, but it's funny though. It's catchy.
Yeah, I said they were bankrupt, but I know that they was coming out of it at least. They went out of it.
Yeah.
And so I said, guard your heart.
Yes.
So instead, like all the men were like, oh, and then all the women were like, first of all, TLC didn't write No Scrubs. Candy Burrs, they wanted to go fact check me, but no one denied the fact that they were bankrupt. So
Yeah.
Oh, that thing went viral, man. I was like, enemy number one for like 48 hours on Twitter.
But you're always posting stuff, so I'm sure you have a lot of. Yes, I know. He don't care. He be saying all kinds of stuff. I be like, ooh, Tim is so special. But it's funny though.
When you got rental properties and people paying you rent every month, people can't cancel you.
No, they can't. Exactly.
They can't cancel you because them people need somewhere to live.
Exactly.
And they're gonna pay me every month, and nobody can take my money away from me. So that's another podcast.
That is actually. I'm so glad you said that. So for me, because I've been self-employed since 2016, I feel a lot freer to do what I want, say what I want, have my hair be out, whatever's going on. I don't have to report to the man. You know what I'm saying? The man don't do whatever, man. I be doing what I want.
Look at you, man. You know, I know. I would like to think that I've helped encourage that in my friends and my people.
I was inspired by Mr. Tim Jackson to be an entrepreneur.
Now, is that copyright so I can... No, but it's funny because, I came up through the corporate world. And I always felt like we had to be a certain type of person, a certain type of way to get a certain type of respect. And what I learned, the more credentials I got, the more people hated me.
Yes.
The more they wanted to come from my job, the more they want... Even now, like, I don't even cite my resume when I meet people anymore because I find that it's more intimidating to them because maybe they haven't accomplished that. And instead of saying good job or hey, I'm proud of you, it's like, man, who the fuck this nigga think he is, right?
Tim Jackson, that's who.
Tim Jackson, that's who, right? And so, and we got to get out of that as a people. Yeah. But I'm not gonna beat us up too much today. But what I do want to ask you is this.
Because I have a hard time staying on topic.
No, I do too. Shit, I'll be all over the place. Why do you feel like our people... Specifically our people, because we can talk about our people. One thing I do on this podcast is we do a lot of cleaning house. We do a lot of straightening, if you will. Because too often I feel like we, as black people, we've been taught to stay quiet and just get our ass kicked and to keep our business in-house. Growing up, my mom, stepdad, hey, don't talk my business outside the house. It's our business, stay in this house. Even I tell my son that.
My mom still says that right now.
Don't be putting my business in the street. That was my mom's thing. But what happens is that we suppress a lot of, I hate to use the word trauma, but I'll just call it trauma. And then a lot of bad game is passed down from generation to generation because we won't have these conversations. And then when a person like you and I, when we get it, it's like, we try to, hey guys, this is how it works. And people won't listen to us, but then they'll go out and listen to someone else that doesn't look like us, pay triple the amount, get screwed over in many cases, and they come right back to us. So why do you think it is that, and this is going to be a lot to say for one question, why do you think it is that we avoid the process of getting our paperwork and shit right up front? To take the gamble to on the back end, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I think one reason is money, people being cheap, and then two, probably time.
No.
I thought you were saying why people don't want to get an attorney.
No, I want a pin right there. Oh. You said money because people are being what?
Cheap.
So it's not that we don't have the money.
You have the money. You just don't want to. You don't value the service that the attorney is providing to you. But if you think about it in the long run, you can pay $1,000, $2,000 now, or wait until this whole thing blows up and you're in litigation and your attorney is telling you got to pay me $10,000 a month to fight this case for a year.
You don't value the service that the attorney or the person providing the service to you is trying to give you in the moment. But then you have to pay sometimes double, triple, quadruple the amount to fix that shit. Yeah. Go figure.
But you should have just paid the expert in the first place. That's one thing. But something else, when you were talking about that, I was like, you're describing me and you. I feel like we're Harriet Tubman. You know what I'm saying? And we trying to bring some people and some people won't go. They just want to stay back there. I don't know why. I have no idea why. It's just a mentality thing. It's like trauma, generational trauma. But this also, I have to get off topic again. Like when you were talking about family members not talking about stuff, don't put my business in the street. I think that knowledge is power. Okay. So one example of that is that my dad had prostate cancer. Until he had prostate cancer, he had no idea that his father's brothers also had it. So I was like, now we be having these family reunions stuff. Y'all be talking about all this stuff, gossiping. Y'all didn't think to say, men men in here, we have a family history of prostate cancer. Get your stuff checked. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like all kinds of things. And then like if you might have somebody in your family who's a pedophile, okay? And then they're hitting all these people and no one says anything. We need to know that so-and-so has an issue. Don't leave any kids with him. So I'm saying knowledge is power, not just in the legal sense, but just like in your family, your health, all kinds of stuff. I think it should be out there so people can know it and use it and make their life better.
Damn.
Don't you think so?
I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah, but I don't know about if my baby starts putting my business in the street. I don't know if I'm going to be saying that.
You know,
I'm like, whoa, that's not what I meant.
I grew up, and me and my sister, we just had this conversation because we had a big conversation. Like we had like a family discussion. We do this probably once, twice a year. And it was me, her, and, you know, my son was there. And we talked about how growing up, my mother would leave her paycheck stubs out on the table for us to see them. With all her retirement stuff on it. Like every time she got a paycheck stub, she would leave it out and we would see it. We knew how much she made. We knew how much she had in her retirement account. It wasn't our business to go talk about it, but we understood. And she would always say, I don't want you to do what I'm doing. I want you to do better. I want you to go out and do something totally different than what I'm doing. Never get a job here. She had a decent job. But she showed us the money. And then she showed us like how to maintain our credit score. She like taught us that stuff. And as a result of it, you know, me and my sister are both 6-figure, you know, I guess you can say 7-figure earners, you know.
He's not flossing though.
I'm not flossing. You know, I don't made a little money, you know what I'm saying? But she and I, in front of my mom with my son, we were able to tell my son, like, we've made way more money than grandma has. Not because we're, you know, better than grandma, but because she showed us what mistakes not to make, specifically what not to do. She didn't know what to do in many cases.
Don't do this.
But don't do this shit. And
that's very important. I love that.
It's very important. Candace, I spoke at an event for men last month, and I said, Thanksgiving is coming up. Instead of sitting around talking about those sorry ass Cowboys.
Sorry.
Talk about your credit score. Talk about Big Mama's house that doesn't have a trust in place. It's paid off. The taxes are behind. Like, hey guys, let's come together. Yeah. And the crowd, like, you know, I had their attention. But when I said stop talking about them sorry ass Cowboys, people were running around. Oh, one guy ran up to the stage. Don't you say that about Cowboys? I said, right there. You see that?
That passion
that you have about these sorry ass Cowboys. It's gonna let us down every fucking year. Have that passion about your finances. Have that passion about your business. Have that passion about paying an attorney. I said you can
getting a will. Paying the tax.
You remember
on
I
Big
did that
Mama's
event?
house.
Did I know you when I did that event?
I don't know.
With the wills? Well, I literally paid 2 attorneys to come out, and we paid for people to get their wills done. And then if they got a full trust, we would pay towards it. Man,
that's a great idea.
We rented out we said we would pay like half of it. We rented out this big ass.
I didn't know you then. No.
Man, like
it's a good idea. I know other people that do will workshops like that, like on a Saturday morning.
Like 15.
That's very
people
important.
Showed up.
Oh, 15 people. That's it.
It broke my heart.
Oh, I don't think you had good advertising. He didn't know me.
Oh, shit.
You didn't know me because I would have got some people out there.
Hey, that's transparent moment, but we ran it. Like, it got shared a ton, but not that many people came, and I was like, why aren't they here? I don't know. I guess you're right. Maybe I didn't. I mean, because if somebody was telling me they're going to give me a free will, and it was older people that benefited from it.
And maybe people don't understand what happens when you don't have a will. If you don't have a will, when the person dies, the court is going to be all up in your business. You know, that's like, how are you going to access this person's bank accounts, you know, to pay their bills? You know, I don't know. Whose name is the house in?
How long is it going to even take to get to the probate process?
It could take years, you know? And then there's
it only takes 6 months for the reverse mortgage to foreclose and take that property.
Oh, really? That's terrible. And then, like, people die, and I was appointed on a case recently, and these kids own, like, I think it said 1 over 72 or something crazy like that, or 1 over 27. That's their piece of this grandma's house, you know? And so as more people keep dying, it keeps getting fractured and fractured and fractured. So who of the 72 people is going to pay the taxes? Nobody is, and it's going to get taken and sold and gentrified and all that mess.
You believe in gentrification?
Do I believe in it?
Yeah.
I've seen it, so I know it's real.
I don't believe it.
Oh,
did you see my video?
No. Are you saying that it's not a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not.
What is it then? Just people fixing up houses?
It's just redevelopment. It's just
redevelopment. Okay.
When I it's funny because the video is like going super viral on Instagram, and literally 50% of the people agree with me, 50% of the people don't agree with me. But I say from the standpoint of being a zoning commissioner, someone who would put on meetings every 2 weeks, public meetings, and send out notifications and knock on people's doors like come. Yeah. I feel like that too often we give our properties away. There are situations where no one's willing to step up to the plate and say, hey, I'll take this on. I'll pay a Kandace Walter or another attorney who specializes in this. You guys are not doing anything. Sign your rights over to me and let me have it. It costs a couple $1,000s. I'd rather just pay that than to let the house go for $10,000 in taxes and then get sold for $100,000 and then get or $50,000 and then get redeveloped and sold again for $300,000. Yeah. And what I would see, Kandace, is I would knock on people's doors. I would invite them to these meetings. I would send out the emails to the HOAs. I would call people, and no one would ever come. But then as the developers would come in and say, hey, you don't want your land? We'll take it. Yeah. I don't know if you knew me when I was like, guys, they're selling properties and land in South Dallas for $5,000, $10,000. And people would tell me, Tim, I don't want to live in South Dallas. Don't nobody want to be over there. It's like...
It's changing.
Nigga! Nobody told you to move over there. I said buy it. We bought property. We held on to it. We paid the taxes. Taxes were dirt cheap. Then we redeveloped, and that house we paid for $20,000 is now worth $200,000 in a period of 4 years.
Oh, that's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's paid off. And we're getting pretty good rent on it, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I preached this till I was blue in the face, and people just was like, no, I don't want to live over there. And now that people are developing, and it takes years, Kandace, to get zoning changed sometimes. You have a public notice. You know it's coming. Years before it happens. Like, you can't blame... it's not what it was in the 50s and 60s. This is 70 years later. We have access to information now.
We do have access to the information, but I don't think people prioritize. It's not on the top of their list of things.
Then who do we blame if you don't prioritize it?
No, I'm not saying that we should blame the developers or the people buying it and doing whatever they're doing. We need that because we can't let it just be in disrepair forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, is it really gentrification, or is it abandonment?
I have to look up the word what that gentrification means. I just meant someone like fixing an old raggedy house so that it looks pretty.
Absolutely.
That's how I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all that stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, then people, all it takes is for 3 people to come in the neighborhood and knock down 3 houses, build 3 mega structures, raise up the taxes, and then you can't afford it anymore. Yeah,
but I don't know what the resources are because I haven't looked into it, but I hope, are there resources for people to fix their own house up?
Tons.
Okay, good. That's good.
City of Dallas has so many programs. I mean, I'm only speaking for Dallas. At one point, the City of Dallas partnered with the National Guard or someone.
Oh, I remember that.
Operation Knockdown.
Oh, I do remember that. I worked at the city attorney's office when they were doing that, so I actually did know that. I forgot.
I actually got approved for Operation Knockdown to tear down one of my houses, and then they took the funding away from it. And then so we ended up keeping the house up and just refurbishing it. But had I knocked that house down, I probably would have spent $80,000 to rebuild it, and the house would have probably been worth around $250,000. But we just went in and just renovated the whole house, and now
that's one of your rent houses too.
Yeah.
How many rent houses do you have?
Rich is flashy, wealth is quiet.
Oh, I know it. That's what I tell people all the time because I'm single. So I have been on the
look at you trying to get chose. Kandace said that's what I tell people all the time because I look at the camera.
But whenever me and my friends are like meeting these people, and if you're bragging too much and this and that, the people that I know that have the most money, they just look regular. Like they would just be wearing some regular clothes, some regular shoes. You people like blinging out and sparkling and doing all this crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Dallas is the home of the $30,000 millionaire.
I okay.
So I grew up. Where are you from? You from Richardson?
I'm from Richardson.
Right? Okay, I grew up in Pleasant Grove.
PG.
It was a middle class neighborhood when we moved there.
I used to work in PG. That's why I said that.
Okay. It was a middle class neighborhood when we moved there. It turned into the hood later on.
Yeah.
So I grew up. I saw both sides of it. I saw 2-parent homes, everybody on my street. Yeah. To, by the time I got ready to graduate high school, it was the hood, right?
That was a fast transformation.
Oh, it was a very fast transformation. It was and then now it's, it is what it is. It's not bad. It's starting to come back, actually. Yeah. Because they, gentrifying it, right? No, I'm just kidding. But where was I going with this shit? How did I start this conversation? No, I lose my train of thought.
30,000.
And so I'll never forget when I first growing up in the hood, you didn't show your money because people would rob you.
Yeah.
I've personally seen people that I went to high school with rob people that went to high school with us. Like you go to the bazaar, everybody's out there for the car.
What are you talking about? Big T Bazaar?
Bruton Bazaar. Okay. But same thing. Big T, same concept. Big T is just like 4 times larger.
Yeah.
But like people on the weekends, they would have these car shows where everybody would pull up in their nice cars and just a whole bunch of old schools on 24s and shit like that.
Yeah.
And people that we went to school with were snatching people out their cars, and just like I was always taught, don't ever show your money because these niggas will find a way to get it.
Yes.
Like they love it when you struggling. But once you start showing it, and so I've just always been a super low key guy. I might wear a subtle watch that a person who understands watches will be like, "Hey, that's a nice watch you got there."
Yeah.
But then the nigga that understands shoes will see. They'll look at my shoes before they look at my watch. But I've always been that way, and that's the reason why I'm not so flashy.
No, I think flashy is a terrible idea because people, your haters, you just giving them ammunition. You know what I'm saying? And motivation to get you.
I personally think it's an insecurity. And I'm going to tell you why.
Maybe some jealousy or something. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about on the part of the flashy person. I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, why?
Because I feel like specifically in the black community, when you grow up not having certain things, you have to show people that you can afford it. Like, I ain't broke. Like, the worst thing you could tell a black person is call them is broke. Like, a nigga would lose their mind if you called them broke, right? And they could be broke as shit. But just the fact that you called them broke, like, it's kind of like, if me and you were to go somewhere right now, let's say we were to walk in a white establishment to rent the facility, and the first thing they said was, "Yeah, this place is kind of pricey." Like, how would we feel about that?
Okay.
Before even giving us a quote, well,
I know that's,
you guys know it's kind of pricey, right?
How do you know I don't have money to pay for it?
You think we broke?
Yeah, I know. I would think that. Yeah,
I would think that. But so I think a lot of times people are trying to not be broke, and in the process, they're not building wealth. Like the most wealthiest guy I know owns hundreds of properties. He buys his clothes from Walmart and Target.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I have a friend. He was like a VP at an insurance company. He had a house in, I don't know if it was Highland Park, University Park. I have no idea. So I knew him for like 4 or 5 years. He's riding around in a Honda Accord that's not even new. Okay. And so finally I went over to his house and I was like, oh my God. I had no idea that you had like this $5 million house and all these antiques and all this weird stuff in it. But just over, the past 20 years, the richest people that I know, they're not flossy and they do not have a Bentley or whatever. And they buy their clothes at Walmart or Target or Sears is gone. But you know what I'm saying? They're just real chill. And I know sometimes they have nice stuff, but they're not flashing it around to everybody.
It's different. It's kind of like the whole guns and butter speak, from Melvin on Baby Boy. Like, they buy stuff that appreciate. And I'm not saying we want to be like them.
Yeah. I'm
saying that our mindset needs to be on appreciation, not flashy shit. And I'll never forget, I always tell this story when I first got into real estate. The first broker that hired me, this guy was wealthy. Like, he ended up selling his real estate company to a bigger company, so he got that buyout, owned hundreds of properties. When I met him, he had a 98 Lexus. And I had, I think, like a 2003, a 2002.
Corolla.
No, I had like an Impala. It was
Impala. Right? Ooh.
Well, I bought it when I was 19, so I was stupid with money, right? But I had perfect credit.
Yes.
Fast forward, I leave his brokerage. I start my own brokerage. It's 2011. I pull up to the cleaners in my brand new Lexus, and he's there, taking his Walmart, Target clothes to the cleaners, and he's in that same 98 Lexus. And the first thing he said to me was, "Hey, Tim, I see you got a new car." And it was the most condescending shit. And in that moment, I was like, I'm hustling backwards. I got to stop hustling for the cherry on top and not the cake.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of the rich people say, too, if you can't afford it, to pay it in cash, you don't need it.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we can't say that, in our culture, because then we hating.
I'm not hating. I aspire to be in a position like that. I have a car note myself. I would love to pay for my car in cash.
Pay that shit off. All right. So we better wrap this up, Kandace.
Yes, I didn't get to talk about any of my slides.
What's one slide on it that you really want to hit? No. What's one?
Just go ahead and say what you're going to say. I'm going to find a slide.
Attorney ass. How you doing?
I know.
So, Kandace, you ever seen that movie, Back to the Future?
Yes, I have.
When they go back to the future, they actually go to the future.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. So, Biff, he goes to the future. He sees that he's living here terribly. So he goes back to the future in the 50s.
Yeah.
Gets an almanac that has all the sports, or he goes to the future, the 2020 something, goes back to the 50s and gives himself a sports almanac that has the scores to every game.
Yeah.
He sees himself. He says, "Hey, dumbass. Take this book. And like, who are you? I'm you from the future. Just trust me on this, right? And he gives himself the almanac, and then the rest is history. He becomes the most luckiest man in the world. He's like a billionaire. He's a trillionaire. He's running the country. If you could go back, I'll say 20 years, right?
20 years.
Fresh out of college, doing your thing. What would you tell Kandace?
This is just for myself or for the people watching?
This is for you, but it's going to be something that they can resonate with.
I guess what I would tell myself, I don't think that I cared that much what people thought, You're
Virgo. You don't give a shit about people.
I don't. But at the same time, it's like I have, like for me, for instance, I've been an attorney all this long. I went to law school. I feel like I have this thing to have to achieve these things and be these things and all that stuff. And I think I would have decided sooner just to say, I'm going to do what makes me happy.
Say what you're about to say.
What the fuck I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been a people pleaser, but I did spend a lot of time with a lot of people that I really didn't even like. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're just in the same network or whatever's happening, but I don't even like you.
That matters.
And I think that if 20 years ago, if I could have told myself, you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? This like maybe it's a part of my identity or this crowd or whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I should have just broke away faster and been on my own path. And also like spent more time talking to people who were where I wanted to be. Like Tim Jackson.
You know what?
And that is real advice. I'm very serious. So I'm saying like people that have achieved great things. Like if I would have been talking to someone like you 20 years ago, I might have a portfolio of rental properties right now. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? That's deep.
That's why I should have been talking to somebody like you instead of going to all these stupid happy hours. How's that?
That's deep. I received that. Mm-hmm. I received that. I've never been a people pleaser. But I've always been the person who wanted to prove my value and worth. If that makes sense, right? It's not kissing your ass, but letting you know I'm that guy.
I'm somebody.
I'm somebody. Okay. I'm somebody in Dallas, right? I got some friends over here that laugh. Yeah. But what I realized is that being myself was the currency. Like there's power when you can break away from the pack.
Yes.
Because there are people are going to start looking like, who is this person? Who's that person? And it's going to naturally draw them to you even more. And I've always felt like I wasn't a part of the pack because I was an entrepreneur. But I always felt like something was missing, if that makes any sense, right? And what was missing was that I just need to go completely in for me. Like, it's not my job to save everyone. You can't convince. I'm in this mindset now. If I have to convince you, you're not my target audience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then you said something that was really deep, but I've said this a lot. I said, I'd rather be liked than loved. And here's why. When you like people, you want to be around them. You want to help them. Love typically comes out of obligation.
Yes.
Like you have to love your family members. You got to love your enemies. But like is, if I like you, I'm going to want to go grab that drink with you. I'm going to want to bring you on my show. I'm going to want to help you when I see it. If I love you, it's like, she cool or he cool or, like you love your cousins and those siblings, but you probably don't even talk to them because you don't really like them motherfuckers sometimes.
Like, what
right?
are you talking about? Are you high?
Does that
Not Tim. I'm saying I'm talking to some people.
No, seriously. Like, yes. And so, like that was deep, man, because I spent a lot of time around people I just don't care for, and now, fuck them. Like that's where I'm at. I've been like that for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 5 or 6 years. So I was probably starting to drift that way, but then the pandemic came, and you're stuck at home, and I'm having a fun time at home with myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like I really don't miss all that stuff I was running around doing, and blah, 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 blah.
There's
I need to focus on me.
There's peace in solitude. You can learn so much about yourself, and you can become so valuable for others when you just separate yourself from the group for a moment. And figure out what the fuck you want, who you are, who you need to be, and you'll go back out into the world and you will radiate a light that people won't be able to walk away from. They're going to be attracted to it. And man, when I realized that, I'm teaching my son that, like, and he's getting it too. Like, I'll never forget. We just had this talk and we're gonna wrap it up. I promise you.
Yeah, that's fine.
We were in the car, and he was like, "Yeah, Dad, I want to do this." We were getting ready to go somewhere. He said, "Yeah, I want to do this for my birthday." That's what he said. And I said, "Son, a lot of times you talk yourself out of some really amazing things because you try to insert your way, your will onto people who are already have a plan, and that plan is to better you. I said, now, if you want to do that for your birthday, fine, that's cool. You're going to save me some money because I already had something planned for you. I said, but what you don't know is that someone actually gave you a gift for your birthday that is a whole lot better than it. I said, so do me a favor. Instead of imposing your way, when people say, hey, when you come in a group with people and you get around people, just if they ask you what you want, just say, you know what? Whatever you want to do, just shoot. Like, let them make the choice sometimes, because sometimes that choice is going to be better, but then you can add to that choice from a suggestion, right? And then you literally get whatever you want. If you can master this as a kid, you'll be an amazing adult. So next day, my sister picks him up, and she ends up taking him to the mall. But she said, hey, what do you want to do while we're hanging out? He said, whatever you want to do, TT. She took him to the mall. That boy came home with so much shit, Kandace. And it was like he immediately got it. And so my sister was like, I told her the story. She said, today he told me to just choose whatever I wanted to do. And I was just so ready to spoil him. But literally, if he would have said, just go get pizza, we would have got pizza. He was like, it does work, you know? And the light
this
bulb
is better than pizza.
Better than pizza. So thank you for saying that. I know I kind of went on a monologue, but I think people need to understand that, one, find your peace in solitude. Don't feel the need to have to take care of everyone and be everyone's everything, because when you die, they just gonna find somebody else.
They will. Somebody else will take your place real quick.
Somebody else will take your place. And then, you know, when you're 20, you care what everyone thinks. When you're 40, you don't give a damn what people think. And when you're 60, you realize nobody was thinking about you at all. Like, focus on your shit.
Yes.
Kandace Walter, where can my people find you online, website?
So my website is walterlegal.com. And I do have an IG. It's ATTY Candy W. And my Facebook for my office is the same also. But something that I want to say before we end is that I have wanted to write a book since I was in the first grade. Okay. And before the pandemic, I started making my outline. And now sitting here with you again, I got motivated again. I have got to write my book. Okay. Tim did it. I could do it too.
Publishing took me to the next level. I self-published.
Yeah, I might do that too. First, I have to write it.
Well, let's figure it out. Let me show you how I did it, and you give me some legal services.
I'm gonna buy his class about how to do a book. Thank you.
Man, well, listen, you guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today to the No More OGs podcast. We had an amazing guest today, Miss Kandace Walter. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all her pages. Y'all remember, we are the culture. It is important for us to create the culture that we want to see, create the culture that we want to be a part of. There's so much stuff out there right now that is a misrepresentation of 90% of the population, but it's being called culture, and it's being forced upon us as something that we should belong to. Fuck all that. I'm not going to subscribe to and belong to anything else that misrepresents me. I'm going to create the images that I want to see. I'm going to create the opportunities that I want to be a part of, and I'm going to invite anyone who shares that mindset to be a part of this process. That's all I got for you today. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, and let's get it, man, because we are the culture. I'll talk to you soon.